This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. This is flyer number 1-2, entitled The FIP Society. Description. This flyer presents the primary goal of the masculists. That is, to create the FIP Society, where all adults, male and female, are FIPs, financially independent persons, its advantages and how to achieve it. Flyer itself. The FIP Society. The primary goal of the masculists, that is men's livers, is to create a FIP society, that is, one in which all adults of both sexes are FIPs, financially independent persons, who have studied FIP majors at college so as to be able to earn good money to afford buying their own middle-class house or apartment. The masculists argue that many of men's gender problems will be solved by creating a FIP society. Fluffies, that is, traditional women who expect to be able to parasite off the money of a robot male, manslave, that is, a traditional man who expects to be parasited upon by a fluffy wife, will be wiped out by converting themselves to become FIP women. Now that women have reliable contraception, e.g. the pill, women choose to have 0, 1 or 2 kids in most cases, hence have a half-century of career time. So women must develop their career skills and not be lazy, expecting some robot male to pay for them. The essence of masculism is that it's a rebellion by men against working for women. You can look on masculists as abolitionists fighting against the manslavery of fluffies, whom masculists see as the enemy and are working towards wiping them out by refusing to have relationships with them, forcing them to rot on the shelf to extinction. The masculists still have a lot to do to create a FIP society. In today's world, 2/3 of women at university study what masculists call fluffy crap, that is, career incompetent majors that do not lead to well-paid jobs in today's economy. So these young women, when they get into their 30s, will become fluffies, looking around for some robot male, some manslave, to parasite upon, to buy them a middle-class house that they can have their, that is, the woman's, kids in, and have him pay for it all. To achieve a FIP society, masculists need to do a lot of things. For example, putting powerful moral pressure on women to study career-competent majors. For example, the professions, such as medicine, dentistry, law, architecture, veterinary science, etc. Or the techs, such as engineering, physics, chemistry, geology, computer science, etc. So they need to study calculus in 12th grade high school, which is a prerequisite to study these fields at university. Young women need to be taught if they are not FIP, they will live a miserable life by not getting a man. Hence they will be manless, loveless, sexless, babyless and poor. The masculists need to spread their message so that society absorbs it unconsciously, making it part of the social fabric and taken for granted, that is, that all responsible adults are FIPs and not parasites on men's labour. Parents need to socialise their daughters to become FIPs, frightening them with slogans such as "Be FIP or be manless," "No calculus, no babies," etc. Masculists need to teach feminists and women in general that women need to be more than just equal rights with men. They also need to accept the idea of equal obligations with men, that is, to share equally the burden of earning the living, and rejecting the idea of fluffy parasitism, which is manslavery. To masculists, manslavery is slavery, and slavery is a war issue. The masculists are at war against the fluffies and the fluffy feminists, that is, feminists who had their feminist consciousness raised, but not their masculist consciousness, so have traditional fluffy attitudes towards men, that is, seeing men as exploitable checkbooks, manslaves. The fluffy feminists have persuaded the gender politicians to strongly bias the divorce laws in favour of women, resulting in tens of millions of men in the US being financially massacred over the past few decades. Half of marriages end in divorce, and women start 70% of the divorces. Typically, a divorcing father will lose custody of his kids with 90% probability. He will lose his house to his ex-wife so that she can raise her kids in it. He will be forced by a divorce law to pay child support for the kids. He may visit twice a month in the weekends. And if his ex-wife is a fluffy, he will have to pay her alimony so that she can continue to parasite upon him, both before and after the divorce. Many divorcing fluffies now hold divorce parties after they clean out financially their ex-husbands. Bitches. The masculists want to create a FIP society so that this kind of divorce court massive injustice becomes alien and highly immoral. With all adults FIPs and taking responsibility for their own lives, the gender politicians will make the gender laws men fair. The divorce laws will be reformed so that joint custody is the norm. The house remains with the original owner or owners. Both parents swap between the house and a nearby apartment so that one week one ex-spouse is with the kids in the house while the other ex-spouse is in the apartment, and the following week they swap places. Alimony will be tossed out, as all women will be FIPs. Until the gender laws are made men fair, masculists advise men to live the 2A2F lifestyle, that is 2A2F equals 2 apartments, 2 FIPs lifestyle, where a FIP man and a FIP woman have their own apartments and have a relationship with regular sex. When the relationship goes sour, they just walk away, cost-free, back to their own apartments. Slavery is a war issue. It was the root cause of the US Civil War in the 1800s. Masculists see the sex war against fluffy manslavery in a similar historical light. Fluffy manslavery is also an abomination and needs to be rooted out of our culture. This is the job of the masculists and indirectly of the MGTOWs, men going their own way. That is, not marrying, not having kids, spending their money on themselves, doing what they love. Unfortunately, the MGTOWs are politically passive, so most of the work to create a FIP society will fall on the masculists, who are politically active. That is, they lobby the gender politicians. They get on the broadcast media preaching masculist ideas. They set up men's lib groups on campus and high schools. They create men's studies and write textbooks on men's issues, etc. Nevertheless, the MGTOW phenomenon is spreading, due largely to the perception of young men that they would be stupid to marry and have kids with the current toxic divorce laws in effect. 70% of young US men under 35 now refuse to marry and have kids. This phenomenon will wipe out the US population within a century if it keeps up, and the gender politicians do not reform the gender laws. So it's only a question of time before the masculists, with indirect support from the MGTOWs, get what they want. That is, to create a FIP society where women pull their financial weight and take equal responsibility for the creation of a just and fair society, as do men. Parasitic women, that is fluffies, will be punished by not getting a man, thus wiping them out, because they will not be able to have babies. Not only the divorce laws need to be reformed, men have no legal paternity rejection right, comparable to women's maternity rejection right, aka also known as abortion right. With all women FIPs, a para would be easily brought into law and would remove one of the most blatant sexual discriminations against men. The media would need to be made gender fair and not portray men as bumbling fools or sexist bigots, as does today's broadcast media, which is now largely controlled by fluffy feminists. Gender laws of all kinds will need to be reformed before the masculists are happy. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name, de GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW, Flyers. Ciao.